Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic Record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Join me every week. I release new episodes every Tuesday. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 85. Welcome back. My name is Stephanie. I am the medium in the middle. I'm really excited for the episode I have for you today. I messaged my good friend Court and I said, hey, I want to have you on the podcast to talk about Saturn Returns. I just feel like they need to be talked about. People need to know about them. Like, I want to get clear on them. I know a lot happened in mine and I feel like a conversation about it could help others. And she was like, that's so funny. I'm releasing a podcast called Saturn Return Diaries. And I was like, well, perfect. Let me know when you're launching and you'll come on the podcast. So here it is. Her podcast is launched, but I will save it all for our conversation. I'm not going to pull a card today. I really am feeling like I don't need to pull a card today. So maybe I'll pull one on Instagram this week. But yeah, for today's episode, there's no card. And I barely have any announcements. So the only announcement that I have is all Reiki is currently sold out. I love that for you guys. Love how excited everybody is about Reiki. There will be one more course the second week of August. I'm just trying to figure out, do we want a level 1 or a level 2? And then more courses will be coming back in September. But the one announcement that I do have is the June meeting in the middle. So for June, we are 6 months into 2021. Can you believe it? So I thought, what better way to, go into 6 months of the year than to do a mid-year goals. So in December, we did a goals workshop, and this will be a follow-up to that, but you don't have to have attended in December because we're updating them and we're seeing what we want the last 6 months of our year to look like. What do we want to accomplish before the end of the year? What do we need to work towards? So I'm excited for this one because I love goals, and these can be your spiritual goals, your personal goals, your work goals, whatever you need them to be. So that is going to be June 24th, 5 to 6:30 p.m. It is held virtually on Zoom, and it's live. So click the link down below in the show notes. It'll all be there for you. But I'm really, really excited for this. I love goals. So that's the only announcement for today. When I know about the Reiki course in August, I will obviously keep you guys posted. So without further ado, let's jump into this episode. Enjoy the conversation, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, I'm so excited. We're here with Court Burns, my Instagram BFF.
Woo! Love
Welcome.
that.
Welcome back to the podcast because we've done this before.
Yeah, that was a while ago though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to have you on today because we are talking about new and exciting things in your life. You are joining the podcast gang.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So
I'm like, brah, brah, brah.
blah, blah, blah. I just want to keep doing that. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to share with the listeners about your podcast, and then I'm excited to talk about it, and then I'm excited to talk about Saturn Returns. So first off, tell me about your podcast. Tell us what we need to know.
Oh, I'm so excited. I've obviously been coming to you for lots of questions. So thank you for having me on the Medium in the Middle podcast.
Always. You can live here.
What?
You can just live here.
Okay. I live here now.
Yeah.
She doesn't even go here. That's going to be my saying on my podcast because this podcast is called the Saturn Return Diaries.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yay! So exciting. So basically this is the podcast, like the gist of it is I want to interview people who are going through their Saturn return or who have already been through their Saturn return. So then they can share that experience with the world because it's a wild time, which I'm sure we'll talk about today. But I'm currently going through mine, and I was like, selfishly, I'm like, I am so curious. Like, what is it like for people? So why not make a podcast?
Yeah, and I think that's awesome because it's funny when I messaged you, I've been having like dreams where I like need to do things, and I was like I need to have Court on the podcast to talk about Saturn Returns. So I messaged you and you were like, actually, I have this podcast coming out, and I was like, okay, well this is like perfect divine timing, the universe pushing us together for us to talk about this, for you to talk about your launch. But yes, let's talk about Saturn Returns first because I didn't know about my Saturn return until after it was done. Like, I didn't know about it, I didn't know what it was, so could you just say what it is in the simplest way? Or
Yeah.
you can go in detail if you like, but what is a Saturn return, and ish, when does it happen?
Yeah, I met you when you were obviously coming out of yours, but you just finished yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically the way that I like to describe a Saturn return is this like portal of or like a doorway that opens as an initiation point to like the next part of our life. And it is like almost the initiation of adulthood, but more than that, it's kind of like where we restructure our lives and say like what do I actually want for my life versus like what was I told when I was younger, when I was a kid, when everyone else was picking my structure for me. And how does that now kind of like show up in my life, and it's this door opening to be like you get to choose your path now. So
Yeah,
it
I
can be,
love that.
yeah.
Well, and I guess, like, the astrology definition of it, it's when Saturn is in the exact same spot as it was when you were born, or what is that?
Good job. Yeah. So it takes 29 and a half years to come back around. And Saturn basically like that's how long it takes to transit around the sky, but also us. So when you're born, your Saturn is in a certain place. And then in when you hit like 28 to like 31, Saturn will come back to that exact sign and it'll stay there. And then it'll give you all of that energy, that ascension doorway.
Yes, so what people usually find between these ages, yeah, 28 to 31,
Yeah.
depending on when your return is that you will notice big shifts in your lives, big changes, and it's, like, not a midlife crisis, but it is a big change, like, mine was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find them super interesting because I didn't find out about, Saturn returns. I think I was 29 and I'm 31 now. So I was like, oh yeah, I've done mine. I was like, I just broke up an engagement. I moved across the country. I left everything. So it's crazy what can happen. And then when you start discussing other people's Saturn returns, it's like, what happened for yours? So,
Mhm.
not to scare anyone who's, like, in their mid to late 20s, like, you are safe, but when you're in your early 30s, you're like, "Aha, that's what that was."
Yeah. Yeah. And like that's why I want to do this because there are a lot of people who are scared of it. Like I think some people are like, oh my God, like it rocks my world so much that how am I gonna get through this? But when we hear other people's stories, like you just said, like clearly your whole structure in your life changed, right? And that wouldn't have been easy to go through, but you almost, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but it's almost like you knew there was something else. And that's like very Saturn return like.
Mhm, yeah. So I find them very interesting, and I think it's a really good idea for a podcast to like talk to other people who are
Mhm.
going through it or on the other side of it because we definitely need to learn through experience, and I feel like this isn't something that's talked about enough,
Yeah.
and it's something that we should be discussing. We all know our midlife crisis when we quit our jobs, end our marriage, and buy a motorcycle. But this is like more personal, I feel like. It's more like of that development, it's more figuring out who you are. Just as you said, it's like
Yeah.
tearing back the layers of what you were taught versus like what you know now or who you want to be now. So, so
Yeah.
cool.
Mm.
I would like to know about your return, what
Oh God.
happened.
Well, I'm like in the middle of it right now. So, I need to like compartmentalize all of it and bring it together, but I think it's been a lot about me like leaving my career. That's been a
Yeah.
piece. And just kind of moving from everything that I like thought I wanted for my life and I thought was right, and like everything I've loved in regards to working just was like at the start of my Saturn return, like when it was kind of shadowing, like starting to build up to Saturn in Aquarius, I could feel like, wow, like I actually don't like any of the things that I used to like. Like and I don't have all the words for it. I'm sure as I do these podcasts, I'll start to figure it out more, but it's like I just it was almost like I didn't know who I was anymore. Like I was almost like uh delayering and trying to find
Yeah.
the bits of myself. And so now I think it's a lot about obviously building a business, leaving my job. I'm hoping there's a boyfriend to come in.
Hello? You there?
Where you at?
Call me.
Yeah.
I feel like we're opposites in that. You're like, "Where is he?" And I'm like, "I'm hiding. Don't tell anyone where I am."
So funny though. It's good though. It's good because you're like I'm like busy, like I'm doing my thing, head down. And so part of me actually just yeah, I agree with what you just said. I'm hiding. I'm like I do want him, but then I'm also like no, like I'm busy building
No.
a business.
Yeah, straight up. We busy.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay, so sorry, let's go back a step because we I didn't really get clear on how long do Saturn returns last? Are they a full year? Are they a year and a half? Like, what's that process?
So it depends on the actual like the sign and when it moves and stuff, but generally it's like 2.5 years.
Oh, it's
However,
2.5 years.
yeah, it can be like 2.5. Yeah. However, there's a point where Saturn actually goes into a different sign. So, for example, we'll use yours. So, if anyone doesn't know, I know this, but Steph has her Saturn in Capricorn. So when Saturn was in Capricorn, that was the last like 2.5 uh give or take almost 3 years ago before this past December, where it moved into Aquarius. And basically, what happened was when Saturn's in Capricorn, there's like a quick minute where it dipped out and it went into Aquarius, and that was in the summer of 2020. So you got a break from your Saturn, and then it went back until the end of the year.
Oh, and I remember too when you like messaged me and you were like, "Congratulations, your Saturn return is over." And I was like, "What?" Also, how do you know that?
Hey, I actually want to like give people like little awards. Like I
Yeah.
want to like give them
Made
something.
it.
You did it. Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say the only thing is here too is that we actually have 3 Saturn returns. If you make it
What?
yeah,
I thought I made it through this one and I'm like, good for life.
no.
Made it.
No. So you're gonna get another two if you make it to 88, which like
Okay.
by this point, who knows? Who
Who
knows?
knows? I hope I get a motorcycle in my second Saturn
Yeah.
return.
Oh, wait a second. Taita might be in her third Saturn return.
She
Yeah,
could be on your podcast.
yeah, she might be. That would be
Oh
so
my gosh, yeah. I mean, she Typed on your podcast would be hilarious, number 1. Number 2, the very sad thing about, it's not I guess it's not that sad, but,
Mhm.
she was born in Lebanon,
Right.
and obviously, they don't, like, track when they were born, so she like, her
Mhm.
birthday is a guess, and they
Mm.
guess around when she was baptized, so it's not even like
Oh.
I don't wanna say, like, they didn't have a calendar, but they didn't actually know, like, when she was born, and then when she had to come to Canada, she had to lie about how old she was, and there's like all this disagreement about how much she lied. So we actually think that she's 2 years older or 2 years younger than she says she is, but we actually still don't know when she was born. So it's
Mm.
very like gray.
That's so interesting. I mean, even if she was 2 years younger, she would definitely be coming up on because she's
Yeah,
87.
she would.
Yeah.
She's 87, so she would be coming up.
Yeah, which is very interesting. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, you get 2 so you have 3. So if you make it to the 3rd one, it's around the age of 88, but the 2nd one is from, like, 58 to 61. So that's a
Oh,
good
later than I thought.
yeah. So there's other stuff, there's other transits that go on in between there, but the main, like, Saturn point because it's that 29.5 year mark, right? So it'll come back again. Yeah.
Interesting. So
Mhm.
if someone wanted to know when their Saturn return was, would they get an astrology reading, or do you just figure out when, you're about 28, so it's going to happen?
Yeah. So you obviously could get an astrology reading, but you can also look that up on your own, like just see where Saturn is in your chart right now. If your Saturn is in Aquarius, you're going through a Saturn return because the transiting planet is in Aquarius right now. So that means that you'd have your return.
Okay,
Mhm.
very cool.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
was trying to plug you there and be like, you could do a reading for that. You're like,
Well,
Google it.
thank you. Yeah.
To be
Well,
honest, everything you said, I would still call you to get a reading because I'd be like, I don't know what planets are orbiting around me.
yeah.
Aquarius, Jupiter, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You can look it up and see, like, oh, like this is where my Saturn is. But if you don't really understand fully what that means or like what your Saturn kind of, was going on in your life or whatever, then yeah, it's great to get a reading and understand it a little bit deeper. But I'm also going to go through this on my podcast. I'm going to do each one of the Saturns in their sign. So that'll be like a different episode each time. Yeah.
Oh, so I would look up like Capricorn
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
because I'm a Capricorn rising, or am
Because
I
you're
a Leo?
you would look up Capricorn because your Saturn is in Capricorn.
Oh,
Yeah. But you are also Capricorn rising.
okay,
Uh,
okay. Yeah,
yeah.
because I always want to know. I think I message you that same question like 3 times a week. Am I a Capricorn rising or a Libra?
I love
What
it.
horoscope do I read?
We're on like a live. We're like on Breeze Live. I'm like, oh, Steph is this.
Yeah, it's because I ask you so much.
I love
Uh,
it. That's
so I'm excited. So what's like the format of the podcast gonna be? Is it gonna be kind of asking questions about how people went through it? Did they realize
Mhm.
what was happening? Like what happened on the other side? Because that's super interesting. I feel like I didn't know what was happening until after.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not 100% sure on like, how it's all going to come together, but right now I'm starting with doing just like what is this podcast about? But when I talk to people, I genuinely just like want to ask questions that I would normally have. Like I want to know like okay, like what is your Saturn in? I want to like pull up their chart so I can look at it. And then I might ask a few questions just in regards to like well, what was going on in your life like at this time and like bring kind of in the elements to it, but I just want them to talk and like have us learn from what was going on because it's just yeah, it's such a pivotal time.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
think it's really interesting. I just want to keep going back to what you said at the beginning, where
Mhm.
you're like unlearning what you were taught as a young person. And I think that's so important because we
Mhm.
all are, and this comes up in the Akashic Records a lot, where we're all kind of taught these things or we're put in these boxes or we're meant to understand things in a certain way. But then when you understand that you can actually like blow that all out of the water and you can come up with your own ideas and you can come up with your own, perspectives on things, it's really like a huge shift in who you are because you can be like, I no longer accept this. I no longer
Yeah.
believe this. And then it's like literally rediscovering yourself. It's like you're coming out of an egg and you're a little
Mhm.
chicken and you're like, how do I fly? How do I walk? What do I do? Who do I like? Who do I not like? Like, do I? And it's so crazy because you're like reinventing yourself, but
Mhm.
it's almost like harder because you're going against the current. Like you're going
Mhm.
against well, that's not who you are. That's not what you used to
Yeah.
like. That's not what you've changed. And it's like, we're supposed
Mhm.
to change, bro.
Yeah. Legit. Okay, it's so funny you're bringing this up too because it's like as obviously like as the change is going as you're like riding the wave, like I have noticed that I've worked so my big thing is that I've been working so much on my beliefs and like what do I actually believe and like and
Yes.
it's so like it blows my mind how much I can catch myself now being like, "Oh my god, that's an old belief. I don't wanna be like that way, but I wanna do this." However, it's like I'm that little chicken and
Yeah.
I'm so fragile. So like if one person says something that like I can see the impact of like, "Oh my god, like I'm who do I want to choose to be here?" So that's like been a big thing coming up for me, especially like as changing and like going into this new direction, it's uncomfortable for other people that are
Yeah. No, it is, and I feel like it's uncomfortable for you because yeah, you're this baby chicken coming out of the egg, and you're like, "Where am I going? How do I walk? Do
yeah.
I like this? I don't know." Putting things in your mouth, spitting them out because you realize you don't like that anymore, and
Yeah.
then everyone's around you like, "Why can't you walk? Like, why aren't you flying, chicken? I know chickens don't fly, but, like, the point is go with it, go with it." So it's like,
Yeah.
well, where everyone else is confused, and you're kinda confused, but you're
So
also kinda
confused.
confident. Yeah, you're like, I'm not that anymore, but I don't know what I am right now, but I'm figuring out, come back in 2.5 years.
So confused and confident. That is
Yeah, literally, confused and confident. I feel that way most of the time. Everyone's like, "How are you so confident?" I'm like, "I'm mostly confused, but I'm very sure about what I'm confused about."
okay. I'm using this. I'm quoting this and putting it on my podcast Instagram page. Confused
Confused and
and
confident.
confident. Love
Yeah.
it. The
That's how I
hashtag.
live my life now, and I feel
Yeah.
like even when you go out of your return, I'm still, like, yeah, testing
Mhm.
the waters and being like, "What do I believe?" And I like that you said that because this also comes up in Psych-K a lot, where it's like you are testing your old beliefs, and, like, the easiest one that comes up is around religion, because I know a lot of people grew up with religion, and now that they're older, they're like, "Well, do I believe that? Well, do I want that?" And some people just do things out of habit, but when
Yeah.
you stop and think about, like, what are your beliefs? What do you believe in? And it's not right or wrong one way or another, but people are like, we put everything into right or wrong. We put everything into these like very clear boxes when they don't have to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's, like, such a good point because now when we're in these types of Saturn returns, like we had Capricorn and then now Aquarius is such a big shift for the world. So those who have Saturn and Aquarius, it's really like ushering in this new way of thinking. Aquarius thinks outside the box. It's very different. It doesn't necessarily fit in any type of box. So everyone that has their Saturn return right now, it's challenging because it almost feels like we're going against the way
Ah.
it's been, right?
So when the new age comes in, when Age of Aquarius came in and we were all singing that song, that's when the Saturn returns are also changing. So like
Yeah,
does it all shift together? Like when Aquarius season start or not
ki
even season.
kind of. Like, yeah, when, there was a conjunction between, Saturn and Jupiter, and that happened in December, and that was
21st.
yeah, 21st. A lot of people were saying that that was, like, the age of Aquarius, but,
Yeah.
like, older astrologers, like that guy with the planets, Rick Levine on his shirt, you know, I see
The
him, like
planet shirt man.
yeah, he's great. He's like, "No, no,
In my
it's
search for someone who still says Uranus.
yeah.
Court's like, "Have you seen the planet shirt man?" And I was like, "Where is he?"
Rick Levine, he's like a legendary astrologer and he is very funny. He's a Gemini. But he would say, no, it's not the age of Aquarius. But like honestly, it is ushering in this new age. It is we can see it. Like it doesn't take a genius to
We
figure out.
literally can see it.
Yeah. So, it's no pressure, but the way that I would describe like Saturn, in Aquarius, people, like especially now coming into this return, it's really about stepping into a new direction. So if you're somebody who is I mean, in my case, it's about a job, a career path, like switching it into more of a spiritual, kind of like more freedom type vibe and energy. And I have no idea what I'm doing, by the way, like zero clue. I'm
Nobody
just,
does.
yeah, confused and
Nobody.
confident. That is what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah, confused and confident and just amp up the confident part.
exactly. You have to.
Yeah.
But it just brings up this stuff. So again, during Saturn returns, divorces can happen, breakups, marriage, babies, moving across the world, changing
I got
career.
almost all of those. Minus the
Yeah,
baby.
tick, tick, tick.
Tick, tick,
Yeah,
divorce, tick, moving, tick,
yeah,
new job, tick.
yeah. What do you like? What do you think for? I'm gonna have stuff on my podcast, but I'm curious. Like, what's your now that you're like looking back on it and you know that's what it was? What would have been like? How would you have described that time?
Ooh, good question. I wanna say, like I'm going to stay with that confused and confident because I feel like I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing, but I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing what I was doing. So it was like running around in a circle being like, where am I going? What am I doing? Where am I going? What am I doing? And then like something caught my eye, bamf. And I was like, ooh, 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 that's where I'm going. That's what I'm doing. And then like once you figure out where you're running towards and you lose the confused part, you're just more confident about things.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like it was everything just started to feel wrong. Like everything, where I was, what I was doing, who I was with, who I was being. I was like, what? Like everything was just wrong and you didn't know what was right anymore. And I was like, do I believe this? Do I want this? Do I still think this? And it was like confused, a lot of confused. The
Yeah.
confidence took time, but I
Yeah.
think, yeah, it like really shook things up for me where I had to I don't even want to say like reinvent myself because I don't think I'm very much like of a changed person. I just feel like I'm a clearer version of myself.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I really like that. I think you like becoming clearer because it's almost like with a Saturn return, it kind of takes you to where you're meant to be going. Like I should have said this at the beginning, but Saturn is a teacher.
Mm.
Like he wants you to do your soul's work and he's relentless. And I say he because just so people know, planets have like it's not gender, but it's masculine, feminine energy. And
Yeah. Saturn's your dad, right?
Saturn is Big Daddy Saturn.
Big
He's coming in.
daddy.
He's a big daddy.
I hope you know I learn all this from listening to you, and I just want you to know I actually listen.
Thank you. I'm like, what? She's taking notes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Saturn's big daddy. I knew that. I knew
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And Saturn actually, so the two signs that are ruled by Saturn are Capricorn and Aquarius. So, you know, they work well there in with that planet. When Saturn was in Capricorn, it's really like hard lessons, hard work. It creates different structures. It really, really wants like this is what I'm gonna do. I will do whatever I have to do to climb the mountain. Like I don't care. And
Yeah.
now when Saturn is in Aquarius, it's like we know what we need to do because Saturn was in Capricorn, but now it's like we need to create a new world with that ambition and like that
Yeah.
relentlessness of Saturn.
And it's crazy like to talk about these things with obviously what we just went through. So whenever you're listening to this podcast, perhaps in years future, right now we're in the middle of the pandemic, third wave, and it's just like that's literally what happened. So not even like those people just going through their Saturn returns, it's like the whole world just had the walls knocked down, rebuilt, and now it's like, yo, your eyes are open
Yeah.
and you can't close them, and we're like trying to figure out this new way now, and there's like so much change and so much, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly what you just said, where I feel like it affects like not only those people going through the return but everything.
Yeah.
Like planets are causing energy.
Yeah,
Blame it on the moon, that's what I always say. Or
literally,
big daddy.
they sometimes I have conversations with Saturn. I'll just be sitting here in bed. I'm like, "Can you just give me a break? Like, can you just cut me some slack, okay?" And it's like,
Take
"Big
it
Daddy."
easy, take it easy.
Yeah, I'm like, "Just give me just for today, please."
That's the Reiki principle, just for today. Give
Oh,
me
yeah.
some slack, big
Yeah.
daddy.
Yeah. No, it's
That's
good though.
good.
Mhm.
um Shoot, I just completely lost my train of thought because I wanted to go somewhere
What I
with
was
that.
gonna say though, you had a good point. You actually said something. I can't remember exactly what you said, but it kind of reminded me of like Saturn almost like knocking us into a place where you said that you were becoming more clear.
Mm,
And I think that like just going back to what I said about Saturn being the teacher, it's like you don't understand fully like what am I trying to say here? Like at the beginning of our life, we're given all of these things that we're meant to do, what's acceptable, all of this. But with Saturn being that teacher and when it comes back around, it's almost like we don't know what to do because it's never been shown to us. It's a path that, you know, only our souls came here for. And if we've never lived it before, then we don't know. So the only way we become clearer is if we actually like go down that path, if we do it, right? So
yeah. Ooh, okay. You saying that brought up another thing from the records. I love that everything's connected. So
Mhm.
the records talk about a lot, like they call it like a double check almost, where
Ooh.
it's like you're double checking on things. Like, yeah, do you still like this? Do you still want to do this? Do you still love this person? Do you still want to be here? And I feel like exactly what you just said, that's what your return will do. It's like the double check. It's like,
Mhm.
are you this person? Do you want to be this person? Do you want to be here? Do you want to be doing this? Do you believe in this? Do you, and you know, it's like forcing you to like choose all those things where you felt like you never really chose them or you never really got to choose them. It's like, oh yeah, like, do I want to be here? Oh yeah, am I wanting to do this? Oh yeah, do I want to be with this person? And
Mhm.
it's like causing you to do that double check. And even if it feels like the first time you've checked it, it's still reviewing everything and then forcing you to learn all those lessons. So that's really cool that you said that because, oh, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It does. Do I want to be with this person? That's where you ask yourself. That's why a lot of people get married because they've decided, okay, I am going to keep going with this. Or,
Mm,
I just quit my job and I'm like I know it's hard for me because that my identity was so tied to it, but it's run its course. It's that part of my life is done.
yeah.
So, I could ignore that if I wanted to and just keep doing it, which people choose to do. Or
Yep.
they say, no, I'm going to whatever. And my insight on this is, well, when you have a second Saturn return,
Yeah. It's
this
gonna
will,
double check.
yeah, it's going to
Gonna
come
triple check.
back again. Yeah. And you'll get another chance to kind of like, reinvent yourself. So, yeah, it's a lot, but
Yeah,
we
okay, 1, proud of you for quitting your job, tap, tap,
yeah.
tap. Woo, woo. But, okay, now that you just said that, so, yes, feel like people do come in and out of, like, jobs and relationships are the biggest ones that I'm sure we'll see. So, when you kinda, like, say I decided to stay in a job that I didn't like, but I made the decision that I'm not leaving the job, like, if I did opposite of you, does that mean that I won't have the urge to leave again for till my next Saturn
Mm,
return? Or does that just mean I won't have, like, the motivation for it? I'll just be like kind of accepting of what I chose in my return. Like, will I be more accepting of, okay, I chose to stay in this job, so now I have to stay? Or how does
yeah.
that energy work? I don't even know if you could answer that.
Yeah, that's something I definitely wanna, like I'll probably pick up from people that I interview, but, there's a few transits in between that happen. So, after your Saturn return when you turn 33, I just learned about this the other day, actually. I knew there was a point, but I didn't know what it was actually called, and the one astrologer I was listening to or was talking about it, she called it a Christ year. And I've never heard it called that before. I knew that there was a transit, but at 33, she basically described you're going to get like another opportunity. All the stuff that you've learned is going to come up and and it's going to be like, oh, okay, like, am I happy with this? um what's kind of going on? And Saturn is also the ruler of karma. So when we think of karma and when we think of what we learn in like, let's say, a school setting, right? Like, if Saturn's a teacher, if Saturn's a dad, okay, well, did I pass the test? Did I have to go back and write some more part of the test? And then when you get to that point of 33, and I'm sure people who are listening to this right now, if you're 33 or older, think of that time, because what was going on? Did you reap rewards from hard work that you put in, from, lessons, tests, whatever you want to call it? Or did it become a really hard time and did you have to course correct? So,
Ooh.
yeah, and I think between 33 and 35, there's this, like, point of, like, um, I almost say, like, a reevaluation, like, I feel like in that time, and, um, yeah, I don't know for sure because 'cause I'm not there yet, but that's just
Yeah.
from what I'm seeing
Well,
at
and
30.
I feel like I really like the way that you said that too, and this really explains divorces. I feel like a
Yeah,
lot. No, like for real though. And
yeah,
it's just like, yeah, these things happen and people think like, "Oh, you've only been married for so many years, maybe divorcing at 33 or divorcing at 35."
mhm,
But when you're
yeah,
going through these big life changes, it's like you're changing.
yeah.
So that's so interesting. Very,
Yeah,
very
like,
cool.
when you think about it, like, I've had to tell myself this over and over again because it's something that made me feel more comfortable, but, like, I when I remember the day I was standing in the kindergarten room and I was just like, this was, like, right at the beginning of my Saturn, like, shadow part where it was coming closer to my Saturn return, and I just remember being like, w like, so disconnected and not, like, happy. It was so weird.
The
And
Matrix went womp, 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 womp,
yeah,
womp.
yeah, and I remember just being like, "I'm confused, like, I don't know what is going on," and every day just being very, like, kind of out of it, but the interesting thing is it's like, I took that time and obviously, like, lots of stuff that were out of my control was happening, but I don't even really remember where I was going with this.
I think
Oh, I think what this is what I was gonna say,
yes.
but the sorry.
Right.
But I, like, didn't know the person I was becoming, but I knew that who I was when I was 18, when I started this career, was not the same person.
Mm,
So I've had to keep telling myself, I'm not the same person I was when I was 18 or when I first had my Saturn in Aquarius when I was a baby. Like, no, you're not the same. You're not supposed to be the same.
yeah.
So why are
I
you
feel
spinning
like
yourself in?
yeah, I feel like I have to remind myself that all the time. I'm like, I'm not the same person. It's okay to change. I'm not the same person. It's okay to change. Like, no matter all the pressures of like, you never used to like that. You never. It's like, I'm not the same person. That's okay to change. You have to like tell yourself that because society wants you
Mhm.
to stay the same. And I
Yeah.
think it's like all those funny memes where it's like people in high school like they hate to see you succeed or something because they're still the same person and you
Yeah.
changed. But it's like so true. Like we're so conditioned to just remain the same from birth till death. And like
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
how it works.
So, like, that's such an odd concept to me, and, like, I'm
But it's
like,
so
"What?"
mainstream.
Right?
So
I'm like,
mainstream. It's like I should be big. Oh, when you were 7, you used to like blueberries. You don't like them anymore. I'm like, what? I love blueberries, but like, what?
yeah. Actually, though, and it's so fascinating because it's like, if I stayed the same then, like, that
Evolution would not happen.
no, it can't happen,
No.
and it's, like, one of my worst fears so as much as it's hard to grow and, like, go through that gateway, I would always do it, always choose it because it's like, growth is important to me, I always wanna be growing, and I don't it's just unrealistic to think that you wouldn't, you
Yeah.
know?
I know, and the records again, the records are much wiser than I, which is why I quote them all the time and where I get all my information. Because I'm in the records all the time. I'm like, I'm collecting this as data.
Yeah.
Um, but they always say you have a choice. You can press on the gas and go forward, or you can press on the brake and
Mm.
not move, not develop, not expand, or you can press on the brakes and the gas at the same time and wonder why you're not moving. So it's
Mm.
like you gotta remove your foot off the brake to evolve and change, and yeah, it's so hard. And it's
Yeah.
interesting, I now that you say that, when your, like, beginning of the Matrix went womp, 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 and you knew something was changing, mine was, I think I was 27, so probably
Mhm.
right before my return happened, like, right before, and I just knew I had to go vacation alone, and I was like, "I need to go vacation alone and figure things out." And then everyone's like, "Are you having a midlife crisis?" And I was like, "No, I just wanna travel alone and, like, get to know me and figure my life out." And I remember I, like, was so afraid of traveling alone, and I ended up going to Costa Rica for a month. Costa Rica. And then
Mm.
we bonded over that.
Pura vida.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pura vida. And I was just like, that was the start of everything. Like that was the first domino down the domino train of everything. Like, so it was so interesting. I like didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew I had to go be alone for a month. And I was like, and I wasn't
Mhm.
alone for a month, but like I was
Yeah.
alone.
You had to soul search a bit, you know?
Yeah.
And
I
that's
felt like so
actually
shamed. Everyone's like, "You
yeah,
gonna go find yourself?" Yeah, man, I'm lost. And, like,
yeah.
being a little rabbit going 9 to 5 isn't gonna give me time to finish this, to figure it out.
Isn't it so interesting how soul searching means that, like, there's some sort of, like, negative connotation to
Yeah.
that, but it's like, imagine if everybody just went to find themselves.
Ah,
How
yeah,
right?
dance in the moonlight, like, do
Like,
whatever
do
you wanna do, sleep on a tree for a week, I don't care, go do what you wanna do.
yeah,
It
and it should be more encouraged, which I think now it is more, and hopefully, like, especially with, like, us talking about this kinda stuff, it's like opening up to the fact that, like, you can get lost for a while. I always say this to
yeah,
people
go
because
get lost.
I literally feel like I was lost all my 20s, and I think it's, like, so beautiful to have that experience because being lost isn't a bad thing. it just gives you permission to like find what you like. It's being an explorer.
Yes. Okay, now that you say that, this is leading me down another rabbit hole. I feel like this is why there's also two types of we're gonna go.
Yeah,
Why
go
there's
for
two types of people in life too. There's the people who get lost and they're mad they're lost. They're wondering where they went wrong. They're trying to
it.
turn back around to figure out the right route they're meant to be on. And then the people who get lost on their journey and they're like, "Oh, cool, we ended up in this cool town. Look where we are. Let's get ice cream. Let's stop and take a picture and let's look around."
Mm.
And like that's the exact same thing with this. It's like, yeah, you can be lost and be angry that you're lost, or you can just like check out where you are and see what you're doing
Mm.
and have ice cream at the place you've never been to and figure out where you're going. Like, take
Mm.
your time.
Yeah, I actually love that because I feel like obviously that can happen at any point of our life. But as you're saying that, it's kind of like, so Saturn comes at a time where, we've kind of been asked to do that searching, to go be exploratory. And then you get this 2.5 year mark where Saturn comes in. And it's like, okay, you got to see, you got to find certain things. I've given you pieces to the puzzle. Like now it's your turn to put the goddamn puzzle together. And that
I love that.
puzzle, like, you know what it's like to put a massive puzzle together. It can be very frustrating, right? And it's like,
I've never completed a puzzle in my life.
me neither.
My patience is very low. I miss that, little bucket.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a different puzzle. It's a different
Yeah,
one.
it's incomplete and I like it that way.
Yeah, it's fine. But like, so then it's like about putting it all together and like almost creating a structure that will hold this new version of you that you've become.
Mm.
I feel like Saturn talks through me these days, so I don't know. Maybe that was Saturn
I
talking.
think your new podcast should be called Daddy Saturn. I am Daddy Saturn. Just put it in the hat.
I was gonna go, Daddy's here. It's too good.
Okay,
Anyway.
well, I feel like we've dropped a lot of knowledge today. So,
Oh.
obviously tell everyone where they can listen to the new pod, what's it called, where are you gonna be, your Instas,
Yeah.
where can they get a reading?
Yeah, so you can come over to the Saturn Return Diaries Instagram. It's also on Spotify. Hopefully, by the time you hear this, it's on Apple Podcast. I'm still waiting.
It takes time, I know it's annoying.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you about that. I'm like, how long? Huh? I'm like
They
waiting.
say 1 to 3 days, mine took 14.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we're in that window.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you can come over there, but also I'm gonna interview people and I'm gonna put that'll be on the podcast, but that's more so gonna be on YouTube. So I really want people to be able to see people talking. So you can also check me out on YouTube over there, and you can also come to Bravely Beautiful brand and get a reading for astrology. If you want to know more about your Saturn, it's there. So yeah.
Yeah, you did my reading and I loved it. I
Yeah.
learned. I retained information. Sometimes I feel like astrology is thrown at you and I just like deer in headlights. I'm like, Saturn, Capricorn, yeah, thanks. But I feel like when you delivered, I was like, got it. Daddy
Yeah.
Saturn. I'm a
Yeah.
Capricorn rising.
Yeah.
Rising?
And also, can I just add this because I remember like I have like a very weird brain, so I'll start to remember things from people's readings. Like it's so bizarre. Like I'll like see people as their astrology chart.
That's
It's
their
very,
chart. I am my chart.
yeah. Yeah, it's very weird. But for you, I remember there's like, and I don't know where it is right now because I haven't checked, but Jupiter was starting to move through your first house. So that's like very expansion of the self. And as you're like moving from your Saturn, and creating this business, it's like you're becoming more of yourself. So you're
Yeah.
using all your energy, which is really cool.
Woo woo. Well, thank you for coming on. All of your links will be down below for YouTube, for Bravely Beautiful, for your podcast. Go follow her. Go comment because we need those. You
Mm,
can comment on iTunes once she's on Apple, which I'm sure you'll be. But
yeah.
thank you so much for coming on. It's always so fun to talk to you. I feel like we could talk for hours.
Thank you. Well,
Um,
you're coming on my podcast but
oh
people are
yeah.
gonna be able to see us. That's gonna be we're gonna wear robes.
I was gonna say I don't know if anyone wants to see me when I'm recording podcasts.
We
I
love
look like
it.
a hermit or like what like a gremlin or something. wrapped in a blanket around a microphone.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, well, thanks, girl.
Thanks. So fun.
Bye.
Bye.
I just love every time I can talk to Court. We could talk for hours, but I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I hope you learned something about Saturn Returns, and I also hope this episode makes you reflect on what you were doing between the ages of 28 and 31. What did you learn? What shifted? What changed for you? So, very interesting. And if you are in your second Saturn return, being able to compare the two. So, I think that's very, very interesting that we have these big changes in our life. So, yeah, that was so fun. So, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being here. If you are an iTunes user, I would love and appreciate a rating and a review. It really helps me out in the podcast world. If you haven't already, press that subscribe button. I release new episodes every Tuesday. If you wish to book an appointment with me, I do Distance Reiki, Akashic Records, and PSYCH-K, all live via Zoom. The links will be down below. If you are in Banff, come visit me in real life. The links are down below to book an appointment with me in real life as well. And I will link all of Court's socials and her website and everything she talked about will all be down below. Go give her podcast a listen. I'm really excited to learn from everybody's Saturn returns. So interesting. So, thank you for listening to the podcast, and I will see you all in your ears next week. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful week.